Alright, so check this out. I just got out of AutoZone, and I had bought a bunch of stuff for the lawnmower that I've been working on, and I was asking the dude, I was like, oh shit, I forgot my battery core. I can just bring that right back, right? And he's like, yeah, you can bring that back. And I happened to ask him, I was like, do you guys just accept recycled batteries here? I was expecting him to say, yeah, you know, yeah, we accept them and recycle them. But he was like, not only do we recycle them, but we pay you $10 a piece. And I was like, okay, is that for any battery? He was like, basically most everything that's not, you know, like a AA or a household, you know, D cell battery, that kind of stuff, any sealed lead acid batteries. So I had all these batteries sat, man, I'll put a picture up on the screen to show you what all I took in there. All these like lawnmower batteries and stuff I use for the kids' Power Wheels that were completely discharged and useless. I had them all sitting there, man. I've been waiting to recycle them. Hell, I was just going to give them away basically at some point, you know, but I've been holding on to them. Obviously I wasn't going to throw them in the landfill, but he's like, yeah, we got this AutoZone AZ. He called it AZ for AutoZone. Green recycled battery program, whatever. They give you $10 a piece for the damn thing. So basically I was like, man, I hate to trouble you, but can I just return everything I just bought and then put it, because they give you a gift card with all the money on it. So I was like, I don't know the next time I'm gonna need any, you know, like $120 worth of products, so can I just return everything I just did? And he was like, sure, I don't see why not. So he really did a return on everything that I bought for the lawnmower. And then I've still got like $50 left over on the card. So I basically got my battery for free. I got the oil for the oil change, grease for the bearings, the fuel line, all that stuff, basically for free. So if I see something sitting with it that I know has a battery in it, like a Power Wheel or something like that, I'm gonna get the core and take the son of a bitch to AutoZone and get my $10. Why not? You guys should do the same. All right, so we're back with this thing, and got it running yesterday. It's a new day. Had to work on the air conditioner yesterday. Had a capacitor go out, so had to finish up the day working on that. So really couldn't attend to this, but got some more parts in. I got the belt for the deck, so we're gonna put the belt on for that deck, and first I'm gonna take it off and we're gonna lube up everything. You might be able to tell it. I went ahead and spray painted this forward deck with what they called meadow green. It's not an exact John Deere match. It's a little bit lighter, but it looks pretty good, and it's gonna at least cover up the the exposed spots, so the chassis doesn't rust anymore. And I may go ahead actually and scrape the letters off the column and tape up the logos and paint the whole thing at some point. To get a couple drips on the deck, which I'm not thrilled about, but oh well. Okay, this is going to be probably a little bit hard to see. There's some pins you have to release to get this deck off. There's one pin here. Let's see if I can go ahead and grab it. No, it's going to be tough. That pin right there, here's a pin here for this linkage. I can go ahead and grab that one, and on top of it there's a washer right there I can't lose. I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll put that pin right back in there, hold that washer on, and that, oops, that needs to go in from the side. Alright, so there's that one. And then up here on the front, there are a couple of more pins. There's one on this side, on this linkage, right here. It's gonna be, you can see the bottom of the pin. It's hard to see the top of the pin. I'm gonna have to tap it up from the bottom. You see the bottom of the pin right there. I'm gonna have to come in and tap it up from the bottom to get it out. And then there's another one on the other side. Yeah, and that one's facing the other direction. I'll tap it down. And then, is there another one? Can't remember. I don't know if there's another one or not. I think it's just that back one back there is the main one, and it's what's holding up the bulk of the deck. And I need to lower it down as far as I can get it and put something underneath the deck to kind of jack it up as I pull that pin out. But yeah, we'll wiggle it out of there. Shouldn't be too bad. Okay, I don't know if you're gonna be able to see this. The pin, it was sticking up here, and I've pushed it down as far as it'll go, and I can barely see it right there. I'm gonna see if I can grab it with these. Pull it on out of there. Yep. All right, so there's that pin, and then it's being held on by that right there, that pin. It's really got to come up and, yeah, take the weight off of it. Get off of there. Well, it's spinning. It's kind of loose, but I can't grab up. There's nothing to grab a hold of. Hang on. Pull that pin out, and that arm ought to fall, so I gotta be careful I don't hit my hand on it. Come out of there. Come on. What are you doing? Now I can grab it at least. There we go. Okay. So there's that side down. Yeah, it's hotter than hell out here right now. The camera is black, so it's absorbing all the heat coming up off the asphalt here. I'm gonna have to either cover it up or suspend filming for a little while here. It's not ideal. Yeah, you can't even see the other end of the pin, so you really can't even grab it. And to get something up under there to push it is easier said than done. I think I'm gonna have to jack the other side up with something because it's falling and it's twisting that. Stuck my rubber mallet under the other side, so that twisted this rocket. Now the pin's not pinched. That's what it was. The pin was pinched. All right. And now let's pull it out the top there. There we go. All right. Okay, now there's the front of the mower deck is down. At least it's shady under here. I gotta grab that pin right there. That's the main one. I think get the screwdriver in here and pry it out, and I did. Okay, I managed to get that. Now that linkage has to be knocked over, so I'll knock it off of there with you guys off of the mower deck so you don't fall. There we go. I think banging on it was not the right solution. I should have just pulled it toward me. So I'll know that in the future. Mower deck is off. 1, 2, we got all 4 pins. Now we can roll this thing up and off of here. Okay, like I said, not too bad. I did get some green paint on it, spraying it. I'm not that worried about it, but I am going to, you know, take a look at the underside. Rubbing on something right there. Rubbing right there. I don't know if that's a bearing or is that maybe it's the belt I'm rubbing on. Nope. It's rubbing on something. So I think I want to get this apart and grease it up real good. That spindle actually looks okay. That one looks okay too. I'm kind of surprised. I'm gonna go ahead and clean and grease them up. But yeah, ooh, rubbing on something. So I need to turn this thing over and figure out what we're rubbing on. It might be the blade rubbing. We'll have to sort that out for sure. It's not the blade rubbing. It doesn't seem to be anyway. Not up in this position. Yeah, it's hotter than hell out here right now, and I'm about to lose my battery on my camera, so I think I'm going to give this a break. Let the sun kind of chill out for a minute. Alright, while my other camera battery is charging, go ahead and drain the oil on this. You know, it's dark, but it doesn't look too bad from what I can see. Maybe a couple of little sparkles, but nothing like engine-y metal in there by the look of it to me. No gasoline mixed in with it. So, you know, the rings are probably good and all that. All right, so back outside, as you can hear the air conditioners. That one over there is running full blast. Mine over here is running full blast. That one over there went out last night. I had to replace the condenser on it. But that just tells you how hot it is. It's just they've been running pretty much non-stop today. I'm glad I had the part for that on hand. Always plan ahead. Always plan ahead. I try to keep spare condensers just for that purpose. So we went ahead and drained the oil in this, and it does not look bad. There's no rainbowy clouds of metallic crap in it or anything like that. It's just, you know, dirty oil. It's kind of what you would expect to see, so that's good on that. I went ahead also tilted this deck up. I've got the concrete block underneath it stopping the blade from spinning, so that we'll be able to hopefully get that spindle off of there. I've got the wrench set up to go ahead and try to get that off. Okay. That's on there. Now. All right. Yeah, that stopper's in the way. You know what? That bearing is actually really smooth without that on here. I think the only thing that was rubbing was the bottom. It might have been just the bottom of this. Tell you what, that spindle right there is in good shape. Bearing's in good shape. I think what I'll do on this one is just spray some white lithium grease down here onto the bearing after I cleaned it up a bit. Okay, now this bolt goes all the way to the bottom of the deck. So definitely keep that on, did not lose it. Broke it right off. You can see there, first bolt's broken off. Yeah, really what they should have on these decks like this is flush mounted bolts on the bottom, and then, you know, have the thread side with the nut up on top, so that it's not down here with all the grass and the junk and the gunk and the wetness and, you know, all of that. Yeah, I'm not sure what to say about that. There's nothing to grab onto on the other side. The bolts are just free spinning. They're flush mounted, so you can't, you know, it's not even like you can get a straight head screwdriver even on there. They're not hex bolts. You can't get anything to grab it. So I can't even get a pair of I might have to end up just cutting a slot or cutting the bolts off. I think that's what I'm gonna have to do, is cut the bolts off. All right, so those bolts are now cut off, and as you can see, I have wisened up. I now have a canopy out here to work under because it has been hot. It's not as bad today as it was yesterday so far, but it's still pretty damn hot. So this is definitely a step up. So let's go ahead and get that bearing assembly off of there. See what we're dealing with. I think it's going to end up being sealed. I don't see a way where we can get that apart. Oh, there we go. It was just stuck on there. All right. As you can see, we got a bunch of crap up under here, up under this edge. I want to see if I can clean. I'm going to try to clean as much of that out as possible, but no guarantees, obviously. I did come out here earlier and spray the top of this bearing with WD-40, just hoping to get down in there and maybe loosen up some dirt, you know. But if I can somehow get in here, if I can penetrate this, we'll try to use some proper grease on it. I mean, it's not that bad, but it's you know, it's got a sticky part, and I think it's down to this crap that's stuck in it down here. It's not even grass, it's like twine. It's straight up like twine or something they got into. They just ran over some, I don't know, like a spool of twine. Okay, here are the old bolts, and I found some new ones, but they are more robust than the old ones. So I'm going to have to drill out the holes slightly in the deck, but these are, you know, obviously more robust. I mean, that's not, I don't know. I think we can do better than that. As long as they fit, as long as they fit through that, and they do, we're good. And this time around, the idea is I'm gonna put this side on the bottom. This is gonna be on the bottom of the deck, and the nut is gonna be on the top of the deck. That way we don't have a repeat of this problem. All right, while we're waiting for that spray paint to dry on that little piece, little mounting piece, we're going to go ahead and change the oil. But I wanted to mention another thing to like about this mower in general is that the deck, it does not have the problem with a really thin deck like you see on a lot of this stuff. And also, I've seen other videos of repair people working on these mowers. Some of them now, the way the spindles are mounted, they have the, when they stamp the deck, they stamp it really thin, first of all, and then second of all, they stamp it so that the metal is exposed all the way back here to the bolt. So the bolt, there's no bolt hole per se. It's just like, you know, it kind of comes up and then sweeps back around the bolt. So they're relying on that other piece there to hold everything, and it can't really, and everything ends up wallowing out as this moves. There's a lot of forces on it, and it wallows out. This one is a nice, nicely thickly stamped deck, and it has just the one center hole for the spindle, so that's good. So we're going to go ahead and change this oil. Okay, so the specs call for 1.4 liters. 1 quart is almost a liter. It's just shy of a liter. So we're going to put that in, and then probably about a little less than half of this one. Obviously want the plug on there first. Looks good so far with no pressure on it. See when the oil pressure pumps up. We'll check it later and make sure there's no drips when we stop it. Right at the full line. You can't see it at all because it's clear. It's absolutely clean oil, but that's full. Guess we're gonna wait on that paint on that thing to dry. Maybe we'll give it another coat. I just wanted to coat it because I don't want it to rust. So I may run to the auto store and grab some yellow paint, and we'll go to town on that for a little bit. That's some very, very thin paint, and it's kind of transparent, so it's you know, that green, that little bit of green that I got on there is still showing through in areas, but you know, it's better than it was. I may go back and get one more can of the stuff. It was actually $1 cheaper than I thought it was. Okay, so I've got the blue tape off of this, and it's definitely looking a lot better. I mean, you can kind of ignore the stuff in the middle. I did not want to paint around any of that, so I just didn't do it. I had some massive scratches on the side here and covered all of that up for the most part. Got all the stuff up on the front for the most part. I mean, it's not perfect, but it's better than it was. Same with this. Went ahead and painted the whole thing with the rattle can in meadow green, which came out okay. It's, you know, it's not, obviously it's not going to be perfect. And I screwed up my tape right there, but so you can see a little tiny bit of the original color, but again, it's way better, way better than it was. So we were having that issue with the starter where it would only engage the teeth, you know, under certain circumstances. You kind of had to play with it. So somebody suggested that I shim the starter against the body of the motor. So I'm gonna put a couple of shims in there. I'm hoping a couple of pieces of metal like that. A couple little washers. Hopefully we'll take care of it. Okay. All right, so that pulled those teeth out. I'd say fairly considerably. Zoom in here. We'll try to hit it a couple times and we'll see if we can get it to fail. Well, I think that fixed it. The shimming worked. So whoever suggested that, thank you very much. Another excellent tip from subscribers. So I think at some time in the past, somebody had tried to sharpen this thing from the other side. This is the top side of the blade. You should always sharpen the blades on the top side, not the bottom side. I think somebody had probably turned the mower on the side or something at some point and sharpened the blade from the bottom, because I'm having to take a lot off to get any kind of edge on it, so keep going. Well, like I said, it's not going to be perfect, but it's definitely better. We'll check the balance of the blade here. Not too bad. Maybe a touch more off of this side, but that's it. It's pretty darn balanced right there. Yeah, this is going to be tough, but maybe you can see what I mean here. Somebody in the past had sharpened this blade from the bottom edge, and you see a little bit of ramping at the bottom. So they made it where I had to take a shit ton off to kind of get past that, and I'm still not really past it, but it's better than it was. You know, got a couple little rock nicks, but other than that, it's not too bad. Most of the cutting is done out here on the edge, and it's not as severe on the edge. So anyway, I'm gonna roll with that. It's balanced and it's sharpened more than it was. Okay, central spindle is back on this deck, and I did what I said I was gonna do. I actually put the screw head on the bottom side and put the nut up here on the top for all of these. The bolts themselves are much thicker than the original bolts. I even had to drill it out slightly to get them on there, and you're not going to tell me that's not better, way better than it was. Okay, got the spindles all back on there, got the belt on there, ready to slide it up under the mower and attach it. The main spindle I wanted to talk about for a second. It is in pretty good shape as it is, and these spindles as well. They're all in really good shape. There's no like wobble in them, like indicating that the bearing is wearing out, and there's no, when you try to spin it, there's no or any of that stuff on any of these. This one is probably the slowest one and the one I'm most concerned about long term. There are two bearings in this. There's a top bearing and a bottom bearing, and I think these can be disassembled. So if you took this, if you took the top pulley off like we already had it off, I think you can bang on this straight down and knock the shaft out of it, and then you'll have the top bearing that you have to kind of knock out too, and you have a bottom bearing as well, and you can change those, and we may do that in the future. Right now though, this thing is not bad at all. There's really no concerns from me at least of it being a problem, so we're going to leave it like this. This is how the belt is routed. There's a guide here, so you go under the guide, around this, under this guide here, around this pulley. They're easy to get on. You can squeeze the belt on, and then it's going to come out like this out the back, and we should be able to get it attached, hopefully, like this. That's the goal anyway. Okay, this might be a little bit difficult to film, but so we're looking at this from the rear. This is the pulley we need to put the belt around. Here's the guide that holds the belt on the pulley. When it's disengaged, it'll be loose, and you don't want it flying off. So this kind of keeps it in place, and you need to loosen this and swing this out. I'll get as much video as I can of this process, but it's not going to be easy to film. There we go. Okay, can you see that now? See how that's swinging free? So we'll put the belt around that pulley, and then we'll put this back and tighten it back down. Okay, this step is going to be pretty helpful. So I've scratched this line in this pin right here to mark where the cotter pin holes are on it, because the way that this has to go in, you can't really see the holes at all, so it's just going to make things a little easier. So I'm going to do both of those. We're looking from the front now, and you can see that the belt is around that pulley. I was kind of concerned about that. It's actually easier than I thought it was going to be. All right, now let's get these pins in. Okay, there's one peg in over on this side, but you can see the bar is kind of leaning inwards, so the pin has to go on the back side in between this bar and this bar. It has to go between these two right here, back here. So it's too cockeyed to do that, and that's because the other side isn't on yet. But this is giving me an opportunity to show you something here. This is gonna be way easier. You can see over here, the wheel's in the way. can't really reach it with the wheel on, so we're going to go ahead and just take the wheel off. Move that little snap ring, get the wheel off, which is just, I mean, I highly recommend doing that. Now we're going to get that up in there. Okay, I still have to put both of the pins in, but I highly recommend doing it this way. Remove the wheels, the front wheels, jack it up, remove the front wheels, get those pins in like that. Much easier. And when you get both in, now these arms right here will be straight and it'll be easier to get the actual cotter pin in. I just did the other side in less than 2 seconds. There's a lot of people online, you'll see, kind of making a meal out of this, and you know, maybe I just got lucky on that first one. I'm gonna actually rotate this slightly. Okay, so I rotated that where the hole is back here, where it's gonna be easier for me to get this pin in. And see, just following that line that I put on there, should be able to just kind of feel where it is. It's right in here somewhere. There it is. And then just push down, and that's it. I mean, like I said, yeah, there's a lot of people who just make a huge meal out of that online from the videos I've seen on these, and they're kind of moaning about how difficult it is, but that's not really that bad. I think, let me see if I can get any gauges. Okay, there it is, engaged. Tension seems okay to me. You disengage it. Here's disengaged. And so there it is, engaged. I mean, I think we're at a point now where we can test it out. We can see whether the mower deck is working, and actually we're at a point where overall we can just start getting this back together. We'll go ahead and put that back on. I want to see if these will hold any air at all, because if they will, I want to go ahead and get this, get air in them if I can, and get them on today, because I'd like to move it around. Okay, so I do have some new tires coming for these front ones. This had a big dent in it. I just used some vice grips on the rim right here to try to straighten it out, and it did work okay, but yeah, see, the problem is on the rim, I believe. Yeah, it's coming out. It's coming out from around the rim right there. So what I think I'll do is I think I'll break this bead and try to clean the beads up on this, and get this tire back on and see if it'll hold air finally. But yeah, I had to straighten up the rim on it, and it did help hold air for a little bit there. This one's still holding air. So I think this one actually will still be a workable tire. When we get the new ones in, we may run these until they completely wear out. I'm gonna go ahead and grease up these bearings. Put some grease on there, or inside the tire rim, and yeah, get this back on, see if I can get this one pumped up. Okay, still trying to get this tire to hold air. I mean, you can see all around the bead, it's leaking pretty much the entire way around. I think that's probably because it was off the rim for so long, the bead was broken for so long that it just got really, really cruddy and nasty. So what I'm gonna want to do is take this tire back off and break the bead and just clean up the inside of the rim as much as I possibly can. That seems to be the only place where it's leaking, is from around the bead. I sprayed it with some WD-40, by the way, down in the bead. You can use just soapy water as well, but I used WD-40. I was kind of hoping, honestly, I was taking the lazy approach. I was hoping that the WD-40 would clean out the seal somewhat and sort of act as a seal. And maybe if I spray it a couple times, because it keeps running all the way down. Here in a second, it will get to the point where the pressure will get low enough that the bead will be broken right around in here somewhere. But you know, it's still not going to hold air. I just don't believe. We'll spray it a couple more times. Like I said, maybe it'll just clean itself up. doubtful. See, listen. See, so what's happening there is the pressure is getting low enough that the weakest part of the bead is finally letting loose the rest of it. Smelling some burning rubber, and it wouldn't move. So we got a transmission issue or something. Yeah, we are burning some rubber somehow, somewhere. I mean, the good news is that tire is still holding air. I can't believe that. Bad news is, real bad news, I don't seem to. Well, there's a belt. There's a belt there. But it's, I don't know, man. Ooh, there's a spindle up in here that's really hot, and I wonder if that's if it's seized. Wonder if it's seized. Okay, late yesterday, trying to test out the drive mechanism on this thing, discovered that it would not move when I tried to put it in gear. So we're gonna see what's up with that. Inspecting the belts. The belts look to be in okay shape. There's a little bit of a something going on with this one right there. So, but other than that, the belt is taut, and I don't see any reason why it shouldn't work. This belt, forget which is which, but there's a primary and secondary belt, they call it on these. But the belt is not wanting to move in this snake right here. See, it goes up and over this pulley, down and around the bottom of this pulley, and you can see just by pulling on this. This pulley is moving, and this arm is moving, right? And that pulley is also moving. This one, though, looks like it's completely frozen. That one's completely frozen. So I think that's our culprit right there. That pulley is frozen. And it looks like it might have taken a whack or something at some point. You see how it's misshapen right there? Maybe it took a whack, maybe it's just the bearing is completely seized. I don't know. The other belt, just looking at it, it's kind of hard to say on that one, but it looks like it might be a runnable belt. Also, it's got some cracks and stuff in it, probably needs to go. It's probably time for both of those to go. So what I'll probably do is go ahead and order 2 new belts and check this pulley out, see if I can get that pulley off of there. I don't know how I'm going to get it off, but it looks like I'm going to have to do that. Probably this screw right here is a tensioner, and there's a little swing arm. I know there's a little arm that comes down that is a belt retainer and shield. So this I know will take the shield off, but I think it also might be the spindle takeoff for that pulley, and we need to get that off. So let's go ahead and loosen that and get that pulley off and see for sure whether that bearing is seized or whether it's something else. Okay, so I loosened up this nut right here, and I'm able to get, by pulling the belt, I'm able to get all of the pulleys to freely move. And I don't know if you can see it or not, but the tire's actually moving too, on this side at least. So it is working somewhat, but I tell you what, the problem is ultimately, as I pull this belt around, you'll see it. We get to a spot where we see a burned spot in the belt. And here's the problem. That burn spot right there, once that gets around and over the drive pulley right here, it's not going any further. It's going to stop right there and it's going to spin. And that's all it's going to do. I think also while I'm waiting on belts, it's probably for the best to go ahead and disassemble some of these pulleys, get them off of here, and maybe lubricate those also. Maybe not this main pulley, because this is up. I don't want to have to take the transmission out, so maybe anything that I can get to without doing that, I will go ahead and get to it. But yeah, man, the good news is the main transmission pulley up here is free, and you can see it moving. So, and like I said, the tire is also moving. It's gonna be hard to tell that, but all right. So we got some direction. We know which way to go.